This project started with an offer on an eBay auction. This is my pride and joy. Well, it used to be my pride and joy. I'd love for it to be my pride and joy. The idea was to take my old 2003 Game Boy Advance SP that I broke when I was a kid and to just remake it and be able to play those games again. Especially all those games that I never got to play because I didn't have the budget or I didn't know they even existed. But you know, today we'll have screens in our pockets. We can't just play on backlit screens. It feels kind of weird. So I thought about, you know, modernizing it, giving it a USB-C port, giving it a proper screen, things like that. And of course, make a cool shell. So as you can see on this shell, the cover is really cool. But there's a bunch of problems. First off, this part that's a bit wiggly. That's problematic. That it makes it feel all very weak. There's also some coloring problems with parts like these ones. The kind of USB-C plug that fills the space around the USB-C port here, it kind of has a weird texture, but it's not really something that I can change, and it's also black when all the rest of the console is more like gray and golden. The alignment here on the part where both of the side of the shell touch is absolutely atrocious. Atrocious. And you can even see, if I try to line it up, it's not even flat. It's like it has a bevel, which is kind of weird. And that's actually causing a lot of problems. I can't squeeze it all the way, because if I do so, the triggers don't come back to their original position fully, which is a problem. When I try to play games, that's just not possible. You can also see that there are problems with the hinges that don't go all the way in. That's because the little silver cover here is not formed properly, and also there are some grooves in the hinges that are not made properly, so I cannot push the hinge part all the way in. And that's also a problem when I open and close. It doesn't click like it's supposed to. As you can see, the battery cover of the bottom part of the case also took a beating. That's because I transported it, and the battery is a special Mako battery. So you'd think that would be good, but actually it's a bit thicker than you would expect it to be, and so it pushes the cover up, and then the cover gets all scratched. I don't know if you can see it on the picture here, but yeah, the cover just lifts ever so slightly, and this just destroys everything. Like, to be honest, this cover looks like it lived like 15 years, and I've had this console for what, about 2 years? So as you can see, the cover is cool and stuff, and the buttons are nice and clicky, but because it doesn't press both parts together close enough, sometimes I will flip the on-off button and it will just not work. It will just not turn on, because on the inside it just doesn't catch the little piece that's on the motherboard. And that's just a big no-no. For the sound, it's a bit different because it's entirely plugged in. We also have kind of a big problem with the USB-C charging port, is that I can't get this console to charge properly. Like, I plug it in for the whole night, it will tell me it's loading, and then it just doesn't charge the battery. I tested the battery, tested it on another console, that's not the problem, tested another battery in this console, that's not the problem. I think that the USB-C is not soldered in properly, and so it doesn't have the bandwidth in terms of electricity to charge the battery. Overall, it's a good console, it's just that it's getting tired, and I don't want to be playing on a console that I have to leave plugged in all the time. That's problematic. I mean, the reason I'm playing this and not something else is that this is portable. This is a little square that I can put in my pocket. This is nearly easier to carry than my phone. Now, about this shell, the one I received coming with the cool cover was absolutely disgusting. Disgusting! So I tried to find a new one, source new parts, get a shell from, you know, reputable sources like Extreme Rates, and they were also absolutely disgusting. So this is the donor console. I bought this one a year ago thinking that I did not have my console anymore, and then I found it in the attic, hidden. So the idea is that I could source parts from this console to the final one, and that's what I ended up doing because I switched the motherboards. Now you might ask, why did I switch the motherboards? Well, it turns out I tried to install this USB-C charging port, and it's absolute trash. As you can see, it's not even straight. It's really hard to put it on the motherboard. It doesn't give you good support. It's just absolute trash. It didn't even work in the end. It did a short circuit. All the sound system wouldn't work in the console anymore. I had to send it to someone to fix it, and they couldn't find the problem. And that's after replacing multiple components. It was this. It was this piece of crap. Now, why am I not using this one to do this final project? Well, it's very simple. I burnt the motherboard. The console works just fine. It's just that I am not touching this. It's getting very crispy, and I do not want to torture it anymore with my soldering iron. Wait, we might need to take that out. This console is tired, and it has earned its rest. Keep in mind, all this USB-C charging port debacle was back when this part was already 15 bucks, and the correct one that I used for the final console was 25. And I'm not paying that for USB-C charging port. Are you insane? So, what's the plan? Trying to get a working console that doesn't need major fixes for as cheap as possible. Because no, I'm not paying 130 bucks for a console from 2003. What? And that's when this comes into play. As you can see, it's a brand new, absolutely not, 2003 GBA SP. I have no idea of the generation, but we even have a little custom Pirates of the Caribbean stickers. So now that we know where we're standing, let's take a closer look at the state of this console's internals. Now, as you can see, this isn't the best shell. We can definitely tell that the console has lived a bit. We can see some crust left and right. We can see this horrible sticker here, and this one. But of course, the console works. As you can see, we have charge. We have the orange LED that tells us that it's charging. It's a bit hard to get the charger in. I think it has a bit of crust in the charging ports. The screen also works pretty well. And we also have sound, as you can hear. So overall, this console works. This console plays games, and all the buttons work properly. They click right. It's pretty good. It's just a very, very crispy shell. So I think it's time for a bit of whiteboarding. What will I do to this console? Well, the first thing is modernize the display. So I'm looking to get a IPS LCD screen for this console. It should be pretty easy. Most of them are drop-in. There's a tiny bit of soldering to do, but usually it just works. And you know, soldering one point is not much for somebody who's talking about changing the charging ports. And that's the next point. I'm gonna change this charging port, making a USB-C. Now, of course, this is a risky operation. It's not gonna be super easy. It's probably gonna be one of the hardest parts of this whole rebuild. And the last part, of course, will be a total reshell. I'm gonna change the shell, buy a new one, fresh one. It's gonna be clean. It's not gonna have all the problems my previous ones had. I hope. Otherwise, I'm gonna be very fucked. So, let's grab our trusty tools and start the disassembly of the console. So, the back plate is held by a Phillips head screw. There we go. Magnificent Pirates of the Caribbean sticker, original, absolute 100% sourced from 2003. Here's the battery. The battery is good. I tested it, so it works. It just works. This console it plays games. It has sound. It has everything. So I don't have any major fixing to do. Now it's time to go down in the crusty bit with the 3-point head screw. Those screws seem to look okay, even though they are a bit crusty. Oh, I mean, it goes with the age, you know. Now we also have one screw here in the battery compartment. Oh, there we go. Came out straight away. I'm gonna keep that on the side. And we have the last one here on the shield for the cartridges. Oh, God, you scared me. Okay, so now we can try and take it apart. Alright, so as you can see, there's a bit of corrosion on the switches, but nothing too dramatic. They still work. We have corrosion on the ports, which, I mean, this console is very crusty. But overall, the board is pretty good. As you can see, no major corrosion on the major parts of the console. Apart from some shields on some components, we don't really care about this, but all the buttons seem to work. They're nice and crispy. I'm gonna finish opening that up, and show you the other side. God, you can see the edges of the case. Ooh, that's some 2003 crust right there. Jesus, you need to be very, very gentle with those screws. They go through the motherboard and directly into the top face of the console, and I really do not want to strip neither. Alright, so we have the volume slider here. The button is stuck. That is very nice. As you can see here, we have a button that got stuck to the motherboard. That happens, it's not a problem. We're just gonna put it back in the case. There you go, stay there. Yep, very good. This one has a black membrane, but the other ones have gray membranes, which is a bit weird. I'm wondering if somebody touched this console before. As you can see, no problem, no crispy parts, nothing that looks touched by any kind of wetness. This is a good board. This is a good unaltered 2003 board, and I'm happy. So now that we have checked the internals, we know that the console is clean, no problem, sound is perfect, image is perfect, even if it's severely outdated, and the charging port has some problems, which I don't care. It's gonna be a USB-C charging port anyway. So what's the next step? The next step is probably to buy the parts. Of course, I'm not gonna be a dumbass again and buy this kind of very cheap, ugly part that just simply does not work and will destroy your console. I'm gonna buy the cool stuff, the stuff that I bought for my other console, the final one, which would make this the final one. I'll probably be buying the screen with it too, so at least I can check the part before I try to use it and before I discover that half of the screen is burnt, which already happened to me. So with this, I'm off to sourcing the parts. I'll get back to you when I finally have them and I can test them, and farewell. Farewell. Who the fuck writes farewell in their script? Hey yo, what the f-